Okay, welcome everybody. Salam Ramadan. Thank you for joining us today at the Indian Heritage Centre for today's Malay Heritage Centre Public Lecture Series. I am Dr. Hadi, Assistant Curator at the Malay Heritage Centre. So usually my work revolves around research, curation and working on the heritage galleries in MHC. However, today I am double hatting for an extended role in my job description, which is to moderate this discussion, and I'm looking forward to the insights from not only our speakers but from all of you who are here today. So for those of you who are here and attended the earlier session, we would like to we want to express our appreciation for your continued support. And as you know, Malay Heritage Centre is currently closed for revamp, and we are grateful to the Indian Heritage Centre for providing today's space for today's program. So before we begin, just a quick note that this session is going to be recorded and will be uploaded onto MHC's YouTube channel. So for those of you who are, after it has been uploaded, for those of you who want to share and you find that some of the content here has been insightful, feel free to share with your networks and your friends. So on this topic about Gotong Royong, now a few weeks ago I was working on a research project for Masjid Taqwa, which is a mosque around the Simpang Bedok area. And the area used to be known as Kampung Bedok. And I was there just to help out for a chapter relating to the building history. And I asked the mosque, Ustaz, can you give me some old photographs of the mosque so I can trace what the building used to look like? And they had provided me an image which showed a group of people, committee members, in front of the mosque. And at the back of the mosque, I saw a particular signboard. And that signboard says, Persatuan Kebajikan Islam Kampung Bedok, which means the Muslim Welfare Association of Kampung Bedok. And it really got me thinking about the role of Gotong Royong in certain contexts in which I may not be born into. I was born in the 1990s. I was literally born in a HDB flat, so I do not understand. I'm not in the hospital line of flat. I genuinely don't understand what was that context that brought communities together. As my parents used to say, orang berbudi kita berbahasa, orang memberi kita merasa. If we have good morals and character, we are able to speak and converse. When we give to other people, that's when other people will feel. So it just really reminds me about the central relevance of today's talk about Gotong Royong, community spirit, in relation, especially now during the month of Ramadan, that mosques and still today are key centers of what we think about when we think about community spirit, Gotong Royong, and talking about the Persatuan Kebajikan Islam Kampung Bedok. At the mosque, it was where they did Hari Raya Hadi Gotong Royong. They organised sports, cultural events, sports like sepak takraw, silat, hadra performances, even providing academic support to kampung students in the mosque itself. So Gotong Royong is not just about community service. It's not about going to the beach and doing a cleanup. It's not just to do helping your neighbours with chores, but it's about strengthening social ties and uplifting the community. And when we think about this nostalgic idea about Gotong Royong, even when we think about developments today, for example, when new developments, we call it Kampung Admiralty, right? For example, right? When we think about modern urban design, I live in Punggol, for example, at North Shore, it's not enough for the new building to have a plaza. It must be a community plaza. It's not enough to have a walkway. It must be a community spine, right? It's not enough to have a pod that looks up into the ocean, to the sea, right, at North Shore. It must be a community pod with seating that where people will look at each other and have interactions, right? And when we hear, elections are coming during National Day rally, we always hear our politicians saying, call us to revive the Gotong Royong, the kampung spirit. Now, I just want to, before we start with our esteemed speakers, I just wanted to ask a question. Why must we revive something unless it's already dead? Okay, so to help us explore this, we have two speakers today. I hope to explore intergenerational perspectives on the evolution of Gotong Royong in Singapore. So today we have Syed Harith, who will represent youth student perspective on Gotong Royong. But first, our first speaker would be Cikgu Murni. So Cikgu Murni will be, I don't want to say he's 80 years old this year. So Cikgu Murni was a teacher for 11 years, which is why we call him Cikgu. But at the same time, he was also in the banking sector after teaching for about 28 years. Now that he has retired, he has spent a lot of time dedicating his time to community work and support various organizations, including the Malay Heritage Center, the Health Promotion Board, and the Senior Generation Office. And I got to know Cikgu about close to a decade ago because he currently serves as an advisor to Persatuan Bahagian Singapura. So, Cikgu Murni, if you could like to, over to you to start off with our first presentation. Thank you, Cikgu.
Blessing of peace to all of you. In Arabic is Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, which means, as I just said just now, blessing of peace. So hopefully I'm able to share with you my experience and my knowledge about the topic, today's topic. So today's topic is about bringing Gotong Royong into the urban society. Now, first of all, we need to identify who are the people who go through these Gotong Royong stages in Singapore. Next slide. So, if we look at the slides, we will find that those people who were born in silent generations and the baby boomers are the one born before 1964, before 1964. So those are the generations who may have gone through these stages in their life about Gotong Royong. Gotong Royong, so we often use the word Gotong Royong. Even ministers say Gotong Royong. So what is Gotong Royong actually means? Next one. Okay, so actually this term Gotong Royong is a term that derived from the Indonesian language, as it means that it is cooperation, doing for the community, is form of voluntary works to help the community, for the benefit of the community. And this Gotong Royong or mutual aid is strongly advocated by those who migrated from China, from India, and from Indonesia. Next. Now, for example, now we take a look at the Malay community, the Boyanese ethnic group of the Malay community. Now, initially when they come over to Singapore, they will stay in the pondok or the what they call it, the community house. For example, in the Chinese, we have the Kongsi, the various Kongsi by the various dialect group, Cantonese group, Hokkien group, Teochew, and so on. So, this mutual help among the community are the first form of communal cooperation in the community. Now, for example, in the pondok, they will have a leader which known as the Pak Lora or the headman, and then the members in that pondok or that kongsi is looked after by the leaders. So the leader will not only take the lodgings, provision of lodgings for the community, but also the welfare of the community. For example, now when there are weddings, there are funeral services, when there are festive occasions, all these are taken care by the leader and the members of the community. Now, I myself, I think when I think about 5 years old, my mother passed away, and then about 7 years old, my grandmother passed away. So all the funeral services are taken care by the Pak Lora and the members of the community. That shows the spirit of helping one another to ease the burden of the family. So I think also this happens with the various kongsis among the Chinese community. Isn't that? You have the various kongsi. For example, we have the Ngee kongsi, the Teochew. Ngee is the Teochew kongsi. So there are many other kongsis which they can taken care of the welfare of the community. Now, besides funeral services, wedding services also some are held normally in the pondok compounds. But now because the time has changed, so they don't have any more pondoks. But the spirit is still there. The spirit does not go away into oblivion. It's still treasured by the community. And next. Now, one of the earliest self-help association among the Malay community, the Malay Muslim community, these two associations. One is MTFA, Muslim Trust Fund Association, and the other one is Persekutuan Kebajikan Islam Teluk Kurau. Now, the first MTFA take care about the needs for education, to look after the orphans, and they have an orphanage. They started an orphanage. So this association formed by philanthropists with the aim to help the community. Now the other one is, the next one is for those providing funeral services. So what the members have to do is they have to be a member of the organizations, and with anything services needed, so they will be provided by this organization. And MFTA was formed in 1904, and the other one was established in 1924, is it? 40? 34. Okay, next. So far, you can follow? Okay, thank you. Now, there are many examples of this Gotong Royong, or the mutual aid, which are reflected in the community, not only within the Malay community, but also within the multiracial community in that area, in the kampong. And normally in some kampong they have Chinese, they have Malays, they have Indians. So this spirit of community spirit are reflected when they want to uplift, upgrade the, for example, now in the kampong they may have some block drainage, so they may get together and try to clean up the drain. And then besides that, there are also times when the community, whether Chinese or Indians or Malays, they will share the various facilities provided by the government. For example, when the government introduced those pipe, clean water pipe, so they will have it in one kampong, in the one village, and then that is shared mutually by the residents in that area. Have any one of you gone through that? Yes, I did. Anyone experienced such a sharing of government facilities? Anybody? No. Okay. Next. Okay. Now see. Now we human beings, I mean, can learn also from animals, from insects. You see, like bees and ants, they work together for mutual benefit. The bees will work together to feed the queen bees, to to make honey, and then the ants will, when they try search for food, they will work together to bring the food home. So, I mean, that there are lessons that we human beings can learn from insects or other animals. So, next. Now, before the the one on the left, is one of those kampong houses, and these normally are quite. Most of them stays in kampong before 1980s. After 1980s, many of them start relocating to HDB Housing Development Board's residences. So we'll find that there is a change of residents from kampong life to those urban life. But the spirit of cooperation for mutual help does not fade. Next. Now, for example, as Singapore developed, so our lifestyle slowly changing. If those in the kampong days we used to, help one another because of the environment, we stay close to each other. But when we move to HDB, you see the pattern of lifestyle is different. If we have more of individualistic lifestyles. For example, now, before the mass migration to HDB houses, now the spirit of Gotong Royong is quite predominant. Now, for example, now in those days during wedding preparations, normally they are done the night before the wedding day. Now, the families, the relatives, or the neighbors will come together to help the preparations. That was the Gotong Royong spirit was very strong at that time. But when they move to HDB places, I mean, such opportunity in terms of space are very limited. So they have to adapt to the changing situations. So now, instead of the families get together to make the preparations for the wedding, now they just simply get those wedding planner, or they will get those caterer to provide the food for the wedding. For example, I myself, I was married in 1980. I was married in 1980. So the night before my wedding day, my aunties, my cousins came together to help my mother to do the preparations for the wedding day. So, did you all experience that? How about the Chinese? Do you still have that during those days, during the village days? You will have families come around to help decorate the house and all that, isn't it? But now, most of them will just go to hotel or still, okay. Next one. Now, so there is a transformation from living in a village multiracial community and very strong sense of helping one another. When we move to HDB houses, the HDB planner does not ignore that concept. They still, where possible, they try to bring that spirit to the residents in the HDB flats. How do they provide that? For example, you have the various facilities, where people, the residents can meet and then can extend help to one another where possible. So you see they have what do you call it, various facilities. Let's look at the various facilities at okay. Now the HDB, as you can see that in the neighborhood you will find playground for children, so where the children can intermingle, and then you also have spaces for the adults where they can also meet and where possible share their their needs, and then also now to encourage the spirit of Gotong Royong or cooperation. Now the HDB also encourage provide a special plot of land to do communal gardening. So where people, the residents from the various units can come down and share their hobby. Then also HDB provide a space whereby the residents can meet and share their hobbies or share their skills or share whatever they think is relevant to promote a cohesive community, to promote better understanding of the community, so that when you understand each other, you will minimize the risk of conflicts, minimize the conflict, and then the community will be more united. So far, any okay, can follow? Okay, good. Now, that was what Housing Development Board is doing to help the the community spirits among the residents. Now, besides HDB, the People's Association was also given the task to promote socializations among the residents in that area. So how do the People's Associations next one? So how do the People's Association help to promote community cooperation? One way is to help community club in each area, in each residential area. So in this residential area, normally they will have the community club, and the community club, they will have various activities that will help to promote the resident to mingle and know each other and help one another where possible. Okay. So these are some of the activities that are organized by the community centers for the residents. For example, we have the activities for the elderly. Then we have activities for those who are interested in the various hobbies. For example, like cooking and games and many other things. Then there is also activities to encourage the youth or to come out and volunteer to help the elderly. And then for the children, they will have also activities like football or basketball for the children, so that children from various races can come together and get to know each other and promote understanding and strengthen the unity among the residents, so that whenever necessary, they can extend their help. So far, okay? Okay, good. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the spirit of Gotong Royong is not lost when people might relocate to HDB houses. So, the government is serious about promoting the concept of Gotong Royong, and as such, there were various self-help ethnic communities which were launched by the government. For example, now the Mendaki was launched in 1980. Let me see, 1984. Mendaki 84, and then about a decade later, about 10 years later, or 1990, the government also launched the self-help for the Chinese, which is CDAC, and then the SINDA for Indians and for the Eurasian. So through these channels, the various community will be able to contribute and help the community to move forward. So the government do not want any of the community to be left behind. So the only way is, the best way is where their own community understand the needs of their own community better. So the government try to channel, help these associations to help the community. So now, these are some of the various Malay organizations. So they are known as VWOs, Volunteer Welfare Organizations. But in 2017, the term Volunteer Welfare Organization was changed to Social Service Agency. And all these social service agencies are under the umbrella of National Council of Social Service. So this National Council of Social Service is another form of government, assistance to structure the various voluntary welfare organization to be more effective in their service to the community. Now, so the National Council of Services focus on the training, provide the training and organizing the activities. Then besides that, the government also have another agency which is known as the National NVPC, National Volunteer and Philanthropy Center. So this is also a government agency under the Ministry of Community. So these two agencies are responsible to assist and monitor the activities of the various organizations helping the community. So for example, now the community chest, where every year we have the presidential challenge, and then we have contributions from the public to the community chest. So this is taken care by the NVPC, National Volunteer and Philanthropy Center. So they try to get as much fund as possible so that these funds can be channeled to help those various organizations to ease their burden of soliciting for funds. And then the National Council of Social Service will focus on the training, the various trainings. They have the National Institute for Social Service. So, okay, next one. Now the latest one was, now these are some of the photos. Now for example, the Jamia provide the nursing home. So all these, they receive grants from the government. So the government help the organizations to provide such service to the community. See, so to help them, the government provide the grants, and community chest also chip in to channel some of the funds to them. So to ease that burden of soliciting for funds. Otherwise, they will be burdened with trying to provide service and trying to get funds for their activities. And then the Casablanca is under the PPIS, Muslim Women Associations. So they also receive grant from the government. So this association will help those women who are victimized by their husbands, or they are being neglected by their husbands. So they are taken care by the PPIS, and they are placed at the Casa Rauda homes. And now the latest government assistance come in the form of SG cash. So in the SG cash, this SG cash is launched by the as a national movement in 2017, and the one who promote this the NCSS and NBPC. So these are government agencies. So they are the one who spearhead this concept. So with this concept, SG cash, every constituency, they will try to set up volunteer agencies to help the community. So these volunteers will try to find out who are the people in that area who need help and what sort of help they need. So in terms of care, healthcare, in terms of financial or some other forms of help which the residents need. For example, like those who are disabled, the government need to know. How the government get to know? Through those volunteer agencies in that residence. So far, okay? Now, with that, okay. Now, finally, to maintain the momentum, of development among the Muslim community, because it's essential that, as we know, that many of the Malays and the Muslims are not well off, so they can only be able to achieve some of these projects through Gotong Royong, through mutual help. And in 2024, last year, August, the MUIS launched the Wakaf Masyarakat Singapore, which Community Endowment of Singapore. So the MUIS hope that through the various donations, regular contributions from the Muslim community, and even those who are non-Muslim who are generous enough to donate, to help the community maintain or improve their life, their life. For example, now we have the Muslim community only have one nursing home which is run by Jamia, but as we are facing with more and more senior citizens, elderly people, so we need more nursing home. We already have nursing home by the St. Andrew, and then the Chinese one is what? Taiwan one. So but the Muslims only have one. So Muslims and Malays are also aging, so we need more of such. So one way to ensure that there are sufficient funding is through this endowment. So with that, I end my sharing.
Okay, thank you, Cikgu, for that sharing. So, I think just to summarize what we have heard was that Gotong Royong used to be part of the life of earlier generations, particularly through mutual aid associations that can be found, for example, in the places where one would live, such as kampongs, pondok, so on and so forth. But then Cikgu Moni also talked about how the increasing institutionalization and the professionalization of mutual help became transformed these earlier ad hoc groups to more multicultural organizations such as grassroots movements and social services. But then there's also room that is also left for others that require religious and cultural functions such as the mosque and ethnic-based self-help groups. So now maybe, Cikgu, thank you Cikgu for giving an overview. I will ask more questions later to the why instead of just the what. But now let's shift our focus to maybe how a younger generation would interpret some of the practices of Gotong Royong today. So as shared earlier, our next speaker, Syed Harith, offers a more youthful perspective, I guess, on Gotong Royong in an urban setting. So as the head of NUS Muslim Society Shura Council and as the former 60th president of NUS MS, he has led initiatives in community service and student welfare. So today, I looked through his slides a little bit. I just give you a quick teaser. He will discuss Gen Z views about Gotong Royong, I hope, and the role of mutual aid in universities, and the impact of digital activism on communal cooperation in Singapore. So, Syed, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Hadi, and thank you, Cikgu, for sharing on insights from what the progression from the past years over the past few decades. Thank you everyone, firstly, for joining us this evening. In my presentation today, I will be sharing a bit more in the context of the Muslim society in NUS, the NUS Muslim Society, and what we do, and the Gotong Royong spirit of mutual aid that the society does with the larger community, the larger Malay Muslim community in Singapore, as well as beyond that, right? So just an overview of what I will be sharing this afternoon is that firstly, how a Gen Z interprets Gotong Royong. Okay, so just a caveat, I'm really in just the starting part of that Gen Z. I think now the Gen Zs in the secondary schools and the JCs are a bit different as my Gen Z. I was early stage Gen Z, yeah? So so a bit older. But anyways, so how we interpret Gotong Royong, and then the mutual aid networks that the tertiary institutions and the youth networks that is available within the community out there in Singapore, as well as within campus. And just to share take a few examples from the Muslim society itself, some initiatives that we have been doing, and the new forms of communal cooperation emerging in our urban environments or in our campuses, as well as, and lastly, of course, the hopes that we want to persevere the community spirit for future generations to come. So how we can categorize the Gen Z's interpretation is in three ways. So firstly, I think we have, of course, there will be a shift from what maybe the generations before us in the baby boomer generation. So the first one is actually community engagement, where we still want, the core is still for us to connect with our community through the support networks that we have. And so you will see through our examples later that the connection that we want to, the objective is still to connect, and the social aspect is still being practiced or still being put at the forefront of the initiatives that we do. The second part, I think, is more on the collective development, where we don't just look at the short terms. Of course, last time it's about providing the immediate services, like for example, he was sharing funeral services, wedding services. But I think now we are thinking a bit more long term, right? So we want to invest in the skills and be learning more about skills-based collaborations for the longer term development of the community. And lastly, the aspect that we're looking at is the cost-driven activity. So beyond looking at the immediate circles of the, maybe last time it was maybe ethnic-based, where we are supporting our own kampongs, our own enclaves. Now we want to work for larger social causes, maybe things that is not even just beyond the Malay Muslim community or the Singapore community, maybe the international community, the humanitarian aspect on that. So this is what we are looking at, because I think the Gen Zs we are very exposed to the social media and the through the internet, and then we see things just not beyond the lens of what we are experiencing within our own circles, but beyond that, right? The larger community and then the international community. So I think we will feel a bit more for the causes that we see on our social media and our phones. Yeah. So just to share, I'll just pick two from NUS itself. So I think NUS have two initiatives or programs. Okay, so one is a program called Rag and Flag. So this is a charity project that's done annually. I think for the longest time since the university, I think 1980s or 1970s, rag and flag. So it's receiving and giving, that's the short form for rag. Flag is like a flag day, like we go out to the community and then we raise funds over a period of time. And we raise funds through performances, through the theatre and through the arts. So that's one way that we are trying to raise our funds for the community. So using the skills that we already have, because maybe not all students are inclined in the academic terms, but they have the capabilities to perform, and then they use that skills to raise the funds. And the other organization I would like to highlight here is the Community Service Club. So in NUS we have there's many organizations that want to do community service, but the one key organization is the Community Service Club. So they have like I think 10 to 15 local projects that's concurrently happening throughout the academic year in school. So this is really to promote the culture of volunteerism within the students, because the students might not have the opportunity to do this on their own, and maybe because sometimes you want to do things but you want to do it with your friends, the people you know with, so they can like cheer their friends to come and join these volunteering projects as well. And I think within the Community Service Club now, I think recently I'm not sure exactly when, but they launched this this thing called special projects, where students actually can have their own ground-up initiative. So there was this one project called the Cleanse Heart. So they want to really give back to the custodians of the school. So they just approach, and then the Community Service Club, they provide the resources for them, the seed funding, so that they can really have these ground-up initiatives, and they can do it within school or even beyond the school campus itself. I think one more thing I want to highlight is not in the slides, is actually NUS have launched the Communities and Engagement pillar. So in school we have to take a few pillars that is common across all the student body, regardless of which faculty you're in, engineering, humanities, science. And this new pillar actually was just launched 2 years ago or a year ago. And I think I was one of the first few batches to take it. So we are now kind of mandated, or like making it part of our curriculum to volunteer community-based courses. So we do go out, we spend a year engaging either with families in rental homes, the elderly, or even providing assistance to students, low-income students, or providing them tuition, so on and so forth. So this is something that I think NUS is embarking on, and I think that for us students who are here in NUS, we have that opportunity to, even if you're not involved in student life activities, you will still have the opportunity to learn and go out to volunteer your time and spend time in the community. Yeah. So I think just beyond NUS, I think we can just observe two other. So one is a non-government organization, which is Majulah Community, non-profit organization, and the other one is Youth Corps. Youth Corps is under the National Youth Council, which is under the government. So we see two different organizations. Of course, the objective is about empowering the Singaporean youth to give back, right? Because we didn't have the experience of needing to dig our own drains back then. Now we just have to call PUB and probably they will do it, right? And all these services that the municipal services or the immediate surrounding environment around us is not really managed by ourselves. We have our town councils, we have our government agencies. You round report through the one service SG app, you just take a picture and then someone will tend to it. So it's gone beyond that core services, but I think it's now more we are building the bonds through the emotional connections and understanding them, going to the homes, supporting those who are in need. Yeah, so this is the one area that we are doing. And the Youth Corps, of course, they have many different projects, again, targeting sustainability efforts. So now, not only just working with humans or as in interaction, but of course, the environment is something that we are passionate for. So we want to contribute back to that aspect and raising awareness and trying to make our heartlands or hometowns a bit more environmentally friendly and just introducing practices. Now we even have activities such as kayak and clean. So you just go to the reservoirs nearby And it's really for you to also taking ownership of the waterways that is in your towns, at the same time learning about the environment, cleaning about it. So actually there's multiple ways for you to give back, and then that's like through the youth corps. And of course in Majalah community, I think we have the youth themselves. I think it's also run by people who are also working adults. So or they have their own commitments, but on the sidelines they try to give back to students who are in need and who require that support or mentorship, right? So that they can grow together. It's not I give you one-time mentoring session, or I meet you for one time, volunteer for one time, and okay, that's about it. But we want more sustained efforts throughout our for all these activities and programs that we do. Yeah. So just focusing on the Muslim society at NUS. So over the years, of course, the society has expanded. In fact, just now when I think Cikgu Moni was showing some old pictures of students NUS. I think the Muslim society actually just celebrated our 60th anniversary last year, and we actually dig up some archives, and we actually saw similar pictures of NUS Muslim society students coming together, having that welcome session for the students, and then with the tikas and the dulangs and all that. So it was really nice to see some things don't change. The spirit is still there, but it has evolved in terms of what we do. Yeah. So, but now in this day and age, so I think as Cikgu also shared about some non-government organizations or VWOs, right? Or now it's called, SSAs. SSAs. So we work with SSAs, like for example, Pertapis Children's Home. So we work with the students or the children, and then we engage them through multiple sessions. And then this is a continuous, so it's not just 1 year. So even if the students have graduated, there is another batch of university students who are taking over this project to continue this engagement we have with the children's home. That's for Vela. And then behind is a local humanitarian project. So it changes from year to year as for because this one is just really to provide that exposure to volunteering. So like last year we worked with rental families, we worked with M-Cube at Jalan Besar for this. And then for this year we are working with migrant workers. So there's already many different segments of the community we can target and really support, and to have that social connection and emotional connection with the people we are working with. And I think NUS also has the privilege to serve the community beyond Singapore. So we organize our community projects also overseas, and now, so for the 3rd year running, we have been in Cambodia, working with the Muslim community over there to see what are their needs. And really also this is not only, because it's mutual aid, Gotong Royong, right? So it's not just to benefit the people there, but at the same time the students also develop themselves through these experiences when they go overseas, putting themselves in an uncomfortable position, right? And things that they might not have experienced. Maybe that Gotong Royong aspect really can be seen when we are overseas, because the conditions are maybe back then when we were like in Singapore back in the 70s and 80s, but not in Singapore we can't see it, but when we go overseas you can still see bits and pieces of it, and then therefore there's the room and for the students to grow and through learning in these experiences. So maybe I will just share on some new forms of communal cooperations in the urban environment. So we have the shift. So the traditional approach is that physical labor that we were talking about, and truth be told, we still do that. So within the NUS Muslim Society, we work with our neighboring mosques. In NUS, you have Darussalam, as in the mosque, Tentera Diraja, right, just across the road. Just before Ramadan, we come down to support them, clean the mosque in preparations for Ramadan, and that still is ongoing, right? But the shift that we have here is more of sharing the knowledge, resources, and the holistic well-being of the student. And this is done through various programs, activities, academic discourse, at least in the context of the university, right? So we organize various initiatives for the spiritual aspect, for the academic aspect, for the career development aspect. So we try to cover as many points that a student will go through in their life, like their phases in life. So it's not just about the physical aspect of contributing, but we want to contribute to their in our mission, it's called academic innovators, right, in the Muslim society. And we want to work towards there, where we are not just there to, yes, we can support you operationally, physically, but we want to also develop you as a student throughout your 4 years or 3 years in university. Yeah. And I think one of the events we had was the Unshackling the Uncle. I think that was with regards to decolonialization. I think we work with the Malay Studies Society, the Malay Language Society, and the Muslim Society coming together to see how colonialism actually affected us in terms of culture, religion, as well as the language. Yeah, so these are the new initiatives that are coming up, and hopefully over the years it will transform into more interesting and creative programs that we do for the student. Yeah, so I think one point here we want to highlight as well is the shift towards digital platforms. So Gotong Royong, nowadays we want to do fundraising activities. It's not just about us maybe going to the mosque on Friday and buying that food, but you can do fundraising activities, or we see it through crowdfunding, through all these digital platforms that we see online. And of course, doing that physical sales is still important, but raising awareness of those fundraising activities is also important, because truth be told, we spend quite a fair bit of time on our phones as compared to maybe seeing our family members every day. So before we sleep, we scroll for 2 hours, but then that's how we get our updates with our society and community. So these opportunities are being shared, and we have to leverage on these tools, digital tools, for us to share content, knowledge, and also the volunteering opportunities that they have. And of course, now with Instagram, we have collaboration posts. So we no longer, as in NUSMS, work with Muslim SG, with MUIS to really strengthen our outreach. And our content from the university itself now doesn't just benefit the university students, but also the larger Muslim community in Singapore with these collaborations. And students themselves can also put forth their works and really have that exposure. So it's a win-win situation for all organizations as well as the student bodies. And of course, online events, really, like we organize Zoom sessions, right, to connect with one another. I think because of COVID, it really pushed our limits to the online space. And but of course, it can still never beat the physical touch. I think we are now also seeing a shift of minimal online interactions or events, and more physical events and activities. Yeah. And I think last but not least is more on the community spirit. How do we want to sustain this community spirit, or the kampong spirit, as was mentioned, right? Is that we, of course, mentioning about the online platforms and to mobilize volunteers, fundraising for the local social causes, mentorship programs. But I think the Gen Z or the community now in these universities still we have to bridge that gap, because there's still the gap between the previous generations and our current generation. And for us to really bridge that gap, we have to bring ourselves to the environment or where these people are, or where we are needed, right? And because at the end of the day, the values are the one that still continues across the generations. It's the activities or the means, the way we do it may be different, but the objectives, the values we want to inculcate within the community is still the same. The Gotong Royong spirit that we want to enliven throughout our lives. And I would agree that I think maybe it's because of where we live or how we live, is now we are in like silos in our HDBs, but it also presents an opportunity for us to actually take that step to know our neighbours. How many of us actually just knock on our neighbour's door? We keep saying this, we should do it, but I don't know whether how many of us actually really do it. Even I myself am guilty of it, whether like my whole corridor have like 6 other units, but as in, okay, hi, bye, but okay, for me, I'm lucky to get all the Malay Muslim neighbours, and in Ramadan we exchange food. I think that's a lot of the interaction that we have, exchanging food, giving food here and there, and of course, greeting, saying hi and bye when you're at the car park and the lift. So, knowing each other and understanding, empathizing, empathize with the neighbours. We can start with our own community first, but and if we don't want to start in our own neighbourhoods, we can start in school, right? Because the society in the Muslim society in US, we bring people, of course, the Malay Muslim community, but it's regardless of your course, your major, your year ones to year fours to master students, and medicine students, history students, engineering, science. We just come together for the common cause, right? To serve the community with whatever interest we have, and we try our best to accommodate and provide that platform for them to come together, like-minded individuals, and then at the end of the day serve the community. And through this, we inculcate the values and develop ourselves to be more holistic individuals. Yeah. So I guess that's all from me. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Syed, for that presentation. So we've heard from both speakers. Cikgu Murni talks about maybe some of the original context, previous context about Gotong Royong, and maybe Syed had discussed the evolving idea of Gotong Royong amongst the youth and the evolution of digital spaces. I think we've covered a lot of ground. We talked about the kampong style, kampong origins of Gotong Royong in the past to something that is a bit more structured, evolving community initiatives, and how even the younger generation are thinking about utilizing or adapting some of these traditional ideas about Gotong Royong into more present, pressing needs that are today. I think one thing is clear lah. I think I started off with a bit of a tongue-in-cheek question about whether the Gotong Royong has disappeared. But rather, I think from today's discussion, we think about maybe Gotong Royong has not. Maybe it has evolved, maybe it's constantly changing, and maybe as a community, we need to keep abreast and to think about how can we engage and to think about more modern forms and more modern initiatives, and how do we try to link back with some of the core values lah, that we want to share with the community. And then in that way, when we engage in communal cooperation to change society, the spirit of helping one another still remains the same, and it becomes a constant in our communities. So I'd like to have a big thank you to our speakers today, Cikgu Murni and Syed, for their contributions.